So if I have a clog in my drain, less water is going to run through there, not more. So if I have an enlarged prostate, why do I feel like I got to go all the time? Let's talk about it. Hey guys, Dr. Seigel here. So the question is, my prostate is large and I go all the time. Shouldn't I go less and not more? Explain this to me. So we get this question all the time, and at the end I'll talk to you about kind of why this is an important concept if you're going to get prostate enlargement surgery, so that you can kind of manage your expectations and know what to expect after such a surgery. So the first thing I'll tell you is it's totally understandable, this question, right? So if you have, let's draw a prostate in here. So let's draw a prostate right there. So, okay. And I'd say this video, a lot of other videos, is as you're all just like plumbers. So if there's a prostate here that's enlarged and urine's trying to get out of the bladder, you'd expect there to be a relatively slow stream, less urine running through. You feel like you'd go less. So that's the understandable concept. But I want to introduce you to this concept of overactive bladder induced or started by an enlarged prostate. So when this prostate's large, the bladder has to get stronger to push urine past it. So the bladder's job is to push urine past the prostate in men. This muscle layer of the bladder here, it does something called hypertrophies, or it gets bigger and stronger. It gets thicker and thicker and thicker, which is a good thing because you want it to be strong to push urine out of the bladder. I say that the bladder muscle is a muscle like any other muscle, and it gets a workout from the prostate. It's a muscle like your biceps, your quadriceps, etc., all these things. And when it thickens and when it gets stronger, it's able to better push urine past the prostate. But what happens is that when it gets thickened, it can sometimes become what's called overactive. So because this prostate's big, this bladder lining is getting thicker, and as it gets thicker, it's going to contract. It's going to contract. And what that means is you're going to feel like you got to run to the bathroom. So when we pee, when we use the bathroom, that bladder's squeezing. If this bladder is becoming overactive, then it'll squeeze sometimes spontaneously, and you're like, man, I got to run to the bathroom. And that's the concept of why overactive bladder happens from an enlarged prostate. So you may feel like you got to go all the time, but you have an enlarged prostate. And that's why some guys will have what they think is sometimes paradoxical, or they'll have a slow stream because urine can't get out, right? Because you got a big prostate, but they feel like they got to go all the time because they have bladder overactivity. They have a simultaneous, what we call bladder outlet obstruction and an overactive bladder. So this is one of the reasons why sometimes we'll give patients a medication like Flomax or Rapaflow to open up their prostate, relax the smooth muscle in the prostate, let them generate a better stream. But they say, doc, that's not cutting the mustard for my urinary urgency or feeling like I got to go all the time. So we'll write them for a medication or give them a medication that helps with this overactive bladder, because we want to stop this. We want to stop this bladder from squeezing so much, because if it squeezes less, then you're going to feel like you got to go less. So people oftentimes say, well, I have my prostate's the problem. Why are you giving me a medication for my bladder? And that's the reason why, because the prostate's induced an overactive state in the bladder, and we want to stop that bladder from squeezing so much. So that's why overactive bladder medications work oftentimes in individuals with enlarged prostates. And this is my pearl at the end. A variety of reasons, we'll talk about this in other videos. We sometimes will open up the prostate. Let's say we create a bigger channel so that individuals can pee better through the prostate, like a roto-rooter of the prostate per se. And oftentimes we'll leave a catheter, and after the procedure we'll take the catheter out, and patients will say, I'm worse, I feel worse afterwards. And if you understand this concept, you can understand why it takes a while to get better after such a surgery. Let me explain. So if we open up this prostate, your bladder has still been thinking for however many years before you had this surgery, 50, 55, 65, 70, 80 years, that it's got to push a certain strength past this prostate. When you open up the prostate, it's still going to think that it's got to push just as strong to get urine out. So you're going to have this, what we call unopposed bladder overactivity. Your bladder has to relearn how to contract against a prostate that's not quite as big. And so that, what we call remodeling or changing the way the bladder squeezes, can sometimes take a few months. So oftentimes when we do this surgery on individuals, they say, I'm worse, but if they give it time, they'll get better, because this overactive bladder induced by the prostate will go away, or at least get better with time as the bladder, quote, remodels. So that's one of the things I think people should remember after prostate enlargement surgery to kind of manage their expectations. So hopefully that gives you an idea for why you might go more and not less after when you have an enlarged prostate. That's it. Hopefully that's helpful to you guys. Please subscribe to our channel.